Okay, so Nectar of Instruction is a book written by Rupa Goswami, isn't it? Can you tell them?
What is his name?
So by Rupa Goswami. So what's happening? What's happening? So Srila Prabhupada translated it in English, and the commentary to Nectar of Instruction is written by Bhakti Siddhanta and Bhaktivedanta Thakur, both. And Srila Prabhupada based his commentary on both of those commentaries, plus his own realizations. So the commentary, they're beautiful commentaries by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta, and of course Srila Prabhupada gave his own comments. So there are how many verses in Nectar of Instruction? 11. Just 11 verses, that's all. But nevertheless, there are nectar of instruction. They're the essence of all instructions. Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written another book like Nectar of Instruction, and the name is 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀. So can you read it or not? Even if you want to read it, you'll not be able to do that because it's in Sanskrit, but written in Bengali. So you should know both languages, Sanskrit and Bengali. And there's no translation for that. Nobody has printed, nobody has come out with an English translation. But that's a very beautiful book, 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀. Bhaktivedanta Thakur has expanded on Nectar of Instruction. But if you want to read a book on Nectar of Instruction, some English book which explains more, Prabhupada commentaries are there. But if you want to read, Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written another book, 𝗦𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪. If you can read, you can read that. That's a very nice book, 𝗦𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪. He has commented on first 3 verses or 4 verses of Nectar of Instruction, which are very important to us. So you can get it from net, 𝗦𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪, and you can read it. Actually, you can read. You should read. It's very nice. On the internet. So, okay. Now let's talk about these 11 verses. Now, Nectar of Instruction, you see every verse of Nectar of Instruction is, I mean to say, it might take a whole lifetime to realize what he's saying, because it's very simple, but it is the foundation. That's how it goes. What do you want? This is coming in between. So then you put it here.
Oh, no, I was thinking, okay. Move the light weight.
Now? Okay, give it to everybody. That's a good thing. Okay, we got a new copy of Nectar of Instruction, so we can understand better. Okay, so now you have this Nectar of Instruction in your hands, and we have just 11 verses. It's a small book. But if you read daily and if you really try to apply this, basically, it's a book of application. It's not a theoretical book, by the way. Every word you can apply properly. So when you read this book, you have to keep in mind it's a practical book. You cannot read this book and not do anything. That's how it goes. So okay, let's go on the first, second, and third verses. Basically are talking about, and in fact fourth one, they're talking about first 4 verses are talking about how should we, what is our personal conduct and behavior with devotees. That's how it goes. That's the first 4 verses. First 3 verses are talking about personal conduct, which is called as achar. And the 4th verse is talking about vyavahar. How do you behave with devotees? Okay? And that's basically dharma, achar and vyavahar. So what is dharma of Vaishnavism? Among devotees, how do we behave with each other? And how do we act in our personal lives? You see, that's important. So first three verses are talking about achar, and fourth verse is talking about vyavhar. And then fifth and of course sixth verse, I'm just giving you first overview. You can, if anybody wants to write, you can write. And fifth, sixth verse is talking about how to identify a devotee and take association. If you want to identify a devotee, if you want to interact with devotees, you should know that devotee is at what level. Otherwise, how will you interact? So if you know that he's a new devotee, you should help him. If you know he's a senior devotee, then you have to learn from him. If you can't identify devotees, then how will you advance? And you should also know that he's actually not a devotee, but in a devotee dress. So you have to avoid them. So that's what 5th and 6th verse is happening. And then 7th, 8th and 9th verse, they're talking about how should we chant, because chanting is the most important activity. So Rupa Goswami is giving some advice how to chant. And then 9th, 10th and 11th, they are talking about what's the goal of chanting. So you see the whole point of Nectar of Instruction, how it goes. It's a beautiful book. So you see that's the flow of this book. First, Rupa Goswami is teaching how to conduct yourself, what you should do. Second, he is teaching how you should behave with devotees. And then third, he is teaching, okay, if you want to behave with devotees properly, then you should identify them. Who are those devotees? And then he is teaching, okay, the most important thing in devotion is not exactly behavior and your conduct, it is chanting. So how to chant? And then what is the goal of chanting? What will happen? Where you will go if you chant nicely. Right? So that's what Nectar of Instruction is all about. So let's come to first verse, and I'll go quickly and I'll ask and you answer. That's all. Okay, the first verse is, everybody knows this verse, isn't it? Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udropatsa vegam, etan veganyo visha hetadhiraha, sarvam api mam prithvim sashishyat. Can anybody pronounce it? No, wait, not children. I want adults, because children can pronounce properly, I think so. Adults cannot.
Vato vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udaropastha vegam, etan vegam yo vishayeta dhiram.
Dhiram? No.
Dhira.
Dhiraha. It is dhiraha. Then?
Sarvam apima prithvi sashishyat.
You see, that's okay, but you have to pronounce it properly. And the whole way to pronounce Sanskrit is just like Americans talk. When Indians talk English, they talk very fast. I also. And then Americans talk slowly, am I right? And they pronounce properly. Like, so we say, go there. Americans will not say, they'll say, go there. Am I right? That's how you Sanskrit. If you want to pronounce properly, speak slow, articulate every word properly, and then that pronunciation will come. Okay, so can you read? Let's see.
Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udara pastho vegam.
It's not udara.
Etan vegam.
It's not udara.
Udaro pastha vegam. Etan vegan.
Etan
vegan yo vishaheta
dhiraha.
Sarvam
Dhiraha.
apiman.
Sarvam
apimam prithvim
Prithvim, not prithvim. Sa Shishyat. You see, so I'm just telling, if you pronounce properly. Any ladies you want to chant? Who is a lady here? Oh, you're chanting? Okay, fine. Just speak, yeah. Yeah, you sound like child. I thought some child is chanting. Yeah. It's not manasa. No, it is mansaha. You see, it's not a. It is a. You see there?
It is Marathi pronunciation.
It's just a minute.
Manasaha.
Manasaha.
There is no I in it.
Mhm. Okay. If you speak slowly, it will come. Fine, now you practice this properly. Please pronounce properly at least. Okay, so what's the message of this verse? There are just 2-3 messages, central messages. I'll tell central core messages and then I'll go forward. Main point in this verse is Vegam, that word is coming again and again. So Vegam, Rupa Goswami is saying, ultimately, what we are doing in devotion, we are trying to, Vegam means, Veg means what? What do we say? What Prabhupada translates? Urge. Urge means you have a desire and you can't stop it. That's urge. And you're forced to do it. So there's a force from within. And whole devotion is to control this urge. Devotion is all about controlling your mind, controlling your innate desires. And anybody can do it. 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗔𝗀𝗪 𝗪𝗪𝗪 He can become guru. He can actually, one who controls himself, he can control the entire world. You know this? That's how it goes. So that is why even kings, the first training to kings were to control their mind. That was the first training. So that's the principle he's saying. He's saying he's giving the principle in the first verse. Vacho Vegam, control your speech, urge to speak. Okay, here's the quiz now. Now I'll ask you answer. How do you control the urge to speak? Quick. 1 word answer, or maybe 2 words. That's all. If you speak 3 words, I don't accept that. Tolerate is a very general answer. Tolerate is for all urges, no? How do you control the urge to speak? Listen? Okay. Just like you are doing now? Huh? I want one answer, simple answer. By not talking, come on. That's the whole point. You can't do that. How do you control the urge of speaking? Simple answer. Huh? Don't speak? No, that will not happen. That's the whole point there. So what does Prabhupada say? If you have read, you know that. Okay, it's simple. How do you control the urge to speak? By speaking about Krishna. Speak Krishna, that's all. 2 words. So if you speak about Krishna, then automatically your urge to speak gets controlled. If you make this habit. Can you just stop? No, stop speaking. Urge to speak. You speak about Krishna, then that's okay. So that's how it goes. The more you speak about Krishna, the more you speak about Krishna, the more you start imbibing his qualities. And one of the qualities of Krishna is he speaks less, but deep. That's how Prabhupada gives in one of the qualities of Krishna. He's very grave. You know that Gambhir? So Gambhir doesn't mean he doesn't speak, but he speaks to the point and deep but less. And whenever he speaks, that's why people are impressed. Well, that's why we say, empty vessels make much noise. That's how it goes. So that's how urge to speak gets controlled. The more you speak about Krishna, the more you start liking him. The more you start liking him, the more you want to become like him in nature. Then you say, oh, Krishna is like that, and then okay, he speaks less and deep. Okay, I'll also speak like that. You're impressed by him, no? So that's how you can control the urge to speak. That's how it goes. Okay, Vacho Begum. Fine. So you can also speak in your mind, by the way. You might say, okay, I speak about Krishna, but where? Nobody is conducting program for me. Where is Bhakti? Nobody gives chance for me to speak. How will I speak? There's no Pandal program for me. No. Speaking, you can speak. You can speak to yourself. That's all. Speak about Krishna to yourself. You're walking, you are going somewhere. Tell yourself. I talk to myself. When I go in park, and I tell, okay, Keshav Anand, hear about enthusiasm. And I tell myself. And then I ask question to myself, by the way. I do that. And then I ask question and I give myself 5 minutes. Okay, answer Keshav Anand. If you can't answer, no prasad for you. And if I can't answer, then I don't take. That's a very good technique to talk to yourself. Children do. Children talk to themselves. Am I right? Hey, what is doing here? Children talk to themselves. You have seen? You know that, no? Oh, you see, he speaks to himself. And like if they're little child, they are generally absorbed in themselves, talking to themselves and reacting to themselves only. It's there. He does. Yeah. So you see, that's there in us. So this tendency of talking with ourselves, we can use it in Krishna's service. It's there innate. It's a reflex. And that's how devotees are. We talk to ourselves. That's a big... So urge to speak can be controlled by talking to yourself about Krishna. Simple. It's a simple technique. When you're going to sleep, just lie down on your bed and speak to yourself. When you're taking bath, speak to yourself. Give a lecture to yourself. Ask yourself questions. And then you will be just... You'll be involved within yourself. Am I right? This is the use of... Let's say this is a use of... No. Not introspection. Selfishness in devotion. We're talking to ourselves. We're absorbed in ourselves. Am I right? That's quite a selfish person. But that we are doing for Krishna. So that's a very good technique. Otherwise you'll anyway you'll be thinking about yourself. You're always absorbed. So why not do like that? Okay. So urge to speak. You can practice that. I'm giving you answers which you can practice. Yeah.
What about like at school? If you said we have to, not speak that much, but at school if we have to give a presentation or if we have
No, whatever is required that you do. Unnecessary talking. That you don't do. That's all. If you talk unnecessarily, people will disrespect you. Wise people, great people talk less. That's why people respect them. That's also rule there. So vacho vegam. Okay. Manasaha vegam. Manasa krodha vegam. Urge of mind. Urge of mind means the urges of desire. Thoughts. How do you control that?
Think about Krishna.
Okay.
Ignore them.
Urges of mind, urges of... How do you control them? Okay, one is ignore them. Okay. What else? Diverted to think about. Okay.
Planning.
Okay, one thing. Yeah.
use them in Krishna service?
Okay, this is the answer there. Plan. You should have a plan. Because you know what, you can't divert it, you can't control it. Mind is very strong. Mind will divert you rather than you diverting it. It doesn't work. And thinking about Krishna, come on. Maya will not allow you to think about Krishna. It is there, these answers are there, but it doesn't really work at our stage much. Practically what you should do is, if you plan, you should plan what you have to do. Short-term plan, long-term plan, then your mind will be busy. You see, suppose for example, your long-term plan is to learn Mridanga, like suppose we were discussing. Mridanga, okay. Now, and your short-term plan is, Okay, you have to give Bhakti Vikasa programs and prepare for that. And for example, now whenever suppose you go to Bhakti, you prepare for a lecture, and then you're busy, and then lecture is over, then you're empty. Then what to do? So mind will start thinking complete nonsense. But if you have a long-term plan in your mind, okay, now my lecture is finished, short-term plan is finished, now let's switch to what? Long-term plan. And you come, okay, let's start Mridang, for example. Then again, next program, so short-term. So you are switching between short-term plans, long-term plans, mid-term plans. You see? So your mind is completely busy. So urges of mind can be controlled by planning. Your all answers are okay. Thinking about Krishna. And what's that? What are the answer you told somebody? Divert the mind. That's okay. But that is something theoretical. It will not work. You will see that. You can do that. That's okay. But what is going to work is, the best answer is planning. All these answers are okay. But I am giving you practical answers here. I am not giving you theoretical answers. That's okay. If you want to ask anything, just ask me. But I am giving you one answer for each. That's how I'll do. You write and then you practice. So plan. You should have a diary. You should plan. How many people have plans? Short term, long term, mid term? You have?
Yeah, I did plan.
Short term, long term, mid term you have? Okay, good. You also? What's your name? You took the book, no, yesterday? Okay. So, please do that. Otherwise, you'll be spaced out. ISKCON mein, there's a thing, space out. You know space out, all of you? Space out. Program is over, everything is done, now what? Now, enjoy. That's the first thing mind will say. So you're not busy, that's all. Prabhupada says, I'm busy. Prabhupada says, somebody asked Prabhupada, why you're in illusion, or like you're pure devotee? How is that? Prabhupada says, because I'm busy. Somebody asked reporter asked, Prabhupada, do you have lust? Prabhupada says, no. Then Prabhupada says after some time, I have, but I don't have time for it. That's how it goes. And that comes by planning. It should be planned. You can be a householder, you can be a wife, you can be a husband, you can do your job. But at the same time, you should have plans in life. Long term, short term, so that whenever you're free, you find time, automatically mind goes to that planning. And then you have, okay, I'm busy, something to do there. Otherwise, mind will space out, then it'll think what to do. And idle mind is? Devil's workshop, yeah. That's how it goes. Okay. Planning, okay. So, Manasa Vegam. Krodha Vegam. How do you control Vega of Krodha? What's the answer? Prabhupada says all this in the purports. Go and read it afterwards. It's there. Now you will find when I give you answers. Okay, Krodha Vegam. How do you do that? What's a simple answer? Chanting is universal answer. Chanting, if you give answer to all questions, that will be right, isn't it? But we don't want universal answers. Thinking of Krishna is your answer for everything. You see the point? You say, how do you control urges of mind? Think of Krishna. How do you control urges of speech? Think of Krishna. Universal answers are not allowed here. Anger? Okay, one thing can be you don't expect, but that doesn't happen in life, isn't it? You expect things from people. Am I right? Doesn't happen.
Something if you're not happy or satisfied with something, your desires are not there.
No, that's okay. But how do you control urges of mind? What's practical? If you show no expectations, then it doesn't happen. I expect something from you, you expect something from your other devotees, and in service you expect, people should do, and they don't do, then definitely you get anger. This is universal answer. It's wrong in this for me. For me, it's wrong.
Practically, like moving out of that situation.
If you can move out, that's good. But most of the times you'll not be able to do that. You can't move out. Okay, one thing is there what Prabhupada writes, urges of anger can be used to become angry. If you become angry on atheists, the best way to control anger is to be angry on yourself. Angry on yourself. That's the answer given by all wise people. Angry on yourself. Angry on your bad habits, on your sins. And your whole anger will be like, vent, they say vent, it will be released. And then you're okay. And the whole idea is if you start being angry on yourself, you will start finding faults in you. Am I right? Because to be angry on yourself, you have to find something defect. Otherwise, how will you be angry? Oh, I play so nice mridang, so I'm angry on myself. It can't happen like that. So if you want to be angry on yourself, you will be forced to find faults. That's a very good thing. And in the process, then you will not become angry on others, because when you start finding faults in yourself, and you will see, okay, I have faults, so everybody can have, am I right? So as I forgive myself, I should forgive others.
It will increase the tolerance.
Yeah, of course. You forgive yourself. Okay, and you encourage yourself, because in spite of having, if you see I have fault and then you encourage, okay, you should do. Then you will, okay, others have faults, so I should encourage, just I encourage myself. So being angry upon yourself, it's a very nice virtue. And you have to learn that. So urges of anger can be controlled by directing your anger to yourself, on yourself. You can do that. Krishna 𝗪𝗶𝗶𝗪𝗲𝗀𝗪, 𝗦𝟗𝒻𝒁𝒂𝗪 𝗪𝗲𝗀, they used to abuse themselves. Like anything. 𝗦𝒻𝒁𝒂𝗪, he used to tell himself, he used to abuse himself. When he used to sleep, and he used to sleep little extra, he used to say, 𝗪𝒪ine, so raha hai tu? In Hindi. That's how it goes. He used to say to himself. There's a saying there's a saying. Oh, he doesn't know Hindi? Okay, good. So, you know Hindi? Or you know this word? Huh? He didn't used to say 𝗪𝒪ine, he used to see something else, but I am not speaking that. But he used to speak very bad language on himself. And the whole point is, he and 𝗪𝒻𝒁𝒂𝗪, both of them, they used to abuse themselves, and of course that's how they became practically, they were Mahabhagavatas. Okay, anyway, I was just trying to make a point, I just forgot. Okay, did you understand? That's a very good habit to develop, being angry upon yourself. And that's how you can control the urges of anger. And it will benefit you. Oh yeah, Confucius. There's a saying by Confucius. Or not Confucius, but I think 𝗪𝒩. He said, there's a very beautiful saying in China, not just Confucius. If you go to any Chinese home, they will know this. They teach in class. Confucius said, as his teaching, they said, before others criticize you, criticize yourself. Because that's going to happen in this world. People will criticize us. So better criticize yourself before others do. Within yourself. And then when others will criticize you, you will not be affected, because anyway you're criticizing yourself already. So when others will tell you, oh anyway, I know this, I've been criticizing myself, so that's a big thing. You see? So that's how you control urges of anger. I'm giving you practical solutions. You see, just keep in mind, I'm giving you practical solutions. There might be theoretical answers for that. But what works, that works. What I've applied in my life, and this works. So I'm telling you, this will work. That's all. If it works on me, it works on you. But other answers didn't work for me. So perhaps it will not even work for you, because if it doesn't work for me, then it doesn't work for you, because we are all same. Am I right? If a medicine doesn't cure me, then it's most likely it will not even cure you. If it cures me, then I can safely say, okay, you take this medicine, and most likely it will work. Okay, so if you have any questions, just keep on asking me, and you can just interrupt me.
I do.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought anger comes from ego, so I'm trying to see how it can help.
Even ego can be engaged in service of God. And anything can be engaged in service of God. Actually, everything should be engaged in service of God. Just like, okay, here's a quiz. Sense gratification is good or bad?
Bad.
Bad?
Bad if it is used
Okay.
for yourself.
How do you use for others? So that's what I'm asking. Sense gratification is bad or good?
Bad.
General answer is bad. But now the whole point is you're trying to leave sense gratification, am I right?
Yeah.
But whatever is not engaged in service of Krishna, it will catch you. You can't get out of it. Because everything is linked to Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Even sense gratification has to be seen in connection to God. Anything seen not in connection to God, that is Maya. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you can use sense gratification in service of Krishna also. If you export. There's a point there. How can you do that? Okay, I'll give you homework. You figure this out. Yeah, this is difficult. Yeah. This, if you don't practice, you will not understand how do you do that. Because, of course, we have to get rid of sense gratification. That's one thing. But there are some ways you can use it. Some ways you can use it.
Eating prasadam.
Eating prasadam. That's right.
See, in temples they do the deity Sringar very nice. Right? It's very fulfilling.
Okay, fine. For example, in cooking and in deity worship, I suppose. In cooking, you have to make tasty food. Am I right for Krishna? So you should also have a taste for that, isn't it? While cooking, you should actually enjoy that taste while cooking. Okay, it should be tasty, but how do you say it's tasty? You have to have that enjoying thing, inside yourself. And then you can cook nicely. Otherwise, you can't do that. So great cooks are great tasters. You know this? They know. While cooking, they will smell and they will say, oh, this is perfect. You a cook?
Yeah,
You see, you have to do that, isn't it? People who don't enjoy cooking, they will never even do good cooking. Even in Mridanga and instruments, I mean to say, if you're enjoying playing, then you will be able to play good. If you don't enjoy that instrument, you can't play good. So what we are doing? We are engaging sense gratification in service of, you see. That's what we are doing, you see. Enjoying tendency we are putting in service of Krishna. Just like I do exercises daily for some time because I travel. So when I do exercise, I actually enjoy that exercise within myself. Because if you enjoy it, then your exercises are spontaneous. Otherwise you're stretching and you stretch more. If you're enjoying, it's spontaneous and that helps you a lot. It will actually make you a lot healthy. I mean to say, if you go to any instructor, exercise, and they will say, you should actually feel these exercises, isn't it? Feel it within you. That's the whole point. That's the point of enjoyment there. You understand? So, okay. Krodha Begam. Jiva Begam. How do you control urges of tongue? What do you do with that? Huh?
Eat prasadam.
No, just by eating prasadam, nothing happens. Practically, it doesn't happen. Am I right? You can eat prasadam and then you can keep on enjoying prasadam and that's all.
No, Prabhuji, don't eat nice food.
Okay, that's one thing. Aar bhal na khao, bhal na poreve.
No, don't give anything good to tongue.
Okay.
Then you will realize the real taste,
Okay, Jiva Begam, yeah. So how do you do that? Okay, that's one thing. Don't eat. When you don't eat nice, then you will have urge for nice things. You will see that. You will know that. If you stop eating sweets, after 2 days, even in your dreams, you will dream of sugar and you will be in sugar syrup and.
That is the initial phase, but after some time the tongue gets.
If you don't eat sweet for like 1 month or
I know.
like that,
It goes.
after that you eat very little sweet.
Okay.
Also it feels very sweet.
Yeah.
Small sweet also.
So that's what I'm telling. It will come back again. The urge is there. Not eating sweet, you have suppressed it for some time.
No, but
But
during
it
the
is-
time, Prabhu, if your
it is there.
suppression continue, then the tongue loses it.
Yeah, suppression.
Yeah, it's almost like Vishwamitra. For 60,000 years, he didn't see anything and everything. He thought everything is gone. But Minka came up again. So by stopping, you're suppressing. You're not wiping it off. You see, that's the point I'm talking. So how do you Wipe it off, that urge of tongue. That's what I'm talking here.
So the first one and these are connected, Prabhu. The watch over.
But of course, not eating. What's that? No, tongue, eating. I'm talking. How do you do that? What's the practical thing we should do?
Time ourselves. Time ourselves. Keep timing you.
Yes, discipline. By discipline, you can control urges of tongue. Otherwise, you can never do that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you have to fix your time of eating. Otherwise, at wrong times, you will feel like eating this, and you will feel hungry and this and that. Your tongue will want, and you will not be able to control it. If you have a time, at that time, tongue will want something. And then you take some prasad, that's okay, and that's fine. Otherwise, while chanting, you will be thinking of something. So time, discipline in eating, very important. That will work, otherwise it will not work. Generally, there should be some discipline. I mean to say, at least something. You can't keep on eating at some time. It will never happen. Okay, so that is Jiva Vegam. Okay, next is also linked. Udra Patsa Vegam. What's that? Hunger? The answers for both are same. Discipline. Hunger also. That's why if you discipline, for example, I eat particular times, or maybe you might be eating, I eat 9 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the evening, then I get hunger at that time. In between, I don't get. And if I skip that time, then hunger is over, like I don't get. So that's good, isn't it? Mind is not disturbed. If sometimes you're eating, sometimes, then always mind will, anytime will demand food and hunger, and then you're messed up there. Okay, so that's discipline in eating. Fine?
There is a likely question on Telugu for you.
What's that?
They are typing right now.
You're typing?
No, their question is being typed from the other side.
Okay, so you can ask me afterwards. You can ask me.
Yeah, someone's saying.
Someone is asking if they can ask questions.
Yeah, tell them, okay, Mr. Demigod and Mrs. Demigod, you can ask. I call them demigods who are on the internet. They're somewhere in the sky. So you can ask questions, no problem, and I'll take it. Okay, so Etan Vegan. So anybody who can control these urges. So you see, you've got the answers? Is it okay? So should I recap? So how do you control urges of speech?
Talk about Krishna.
Okay. Yeah, speak to yourself about God, to others and to yourself. Basically to yourself, that's a technique. Okay, how do you control urges of mind? Planning. How do you control urges of anger? Be angry on yourself. How do you control urges of tongue and hunger? Discipline in eating. Some kind of discipline has to be there. You can take margin of 1 or 2 hours. Some kind should be there. Don't be erratic. Don't just go to fridge and open and eat something. And then open something. And don't do that. You have to discipline yourself. That's all. And then things work. Okay. That's why fridge is a curse, in one way. It's okay because things get spoiled. It's a good technology, but it's a curse also because things are lying, and then for children it's exempted, fine, below 14 years. Is that 15? Below 14 in scriptures it is exempted. Below 14 they can go and eat at any time, no problem. Above 14 they are not exempted. They'll be in laws of karma. You will develop bad habits. That's how it goes. How much age you are?
12.
Okay, you're exempted. You can
That's why he jumped in.
go and eat and do anything. No problem. That's what scripture says. So above 14, yeah. Okay. So, Sarvam api mam prithvim sasishya. Such a person can make disciples all over the world. His mind is fully controlled. So you see all acharyas, they have these practical qualities. Prabhupada was, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they're extremely disciplined people. And these people were always talking about Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, somebody asked Prabhupada, when you're free, what you will do? Prabhupada said, I'll chant Hare Krishna. But then they asked Prabhupada, when you finish your round, then what you do? Prabhupada said, I'll type Hare Krishna. You see the point? They're always within themselves. They're involved with Krishna within themselves. They're talking about Krishna to themselves. That's how it's happening. The discipline, and Vamshi's Babaji, I told, he was angry on himself always, these Babajis. And but Bhakti Siddhanta, he used to always criticize himself, always. He used to do that in his lectures. And that's how, in personal conversations. Okay, next verse I'll come. Okay, so next verse is about, Sadbir Bhakti Vinashyati. What destroys your devotion? So next two verses are talking about personal conduct. If you do like this, your devotion will be destroyed. If you do like this, your devotion will increase. Personal conduct. It is not social behavior. It is, you understand what's the difference between personal conduct and social behavior? Achar and Vyavahar. What you are doing in your life, and Vyavahar is what you are doing with others. So these two verses are talking about Achar. Okay, what you should not do, what you should do. So you know this verse, all of you. Atyahara prayasascha 𝗙𝗶𝗶𝗪 niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha षड्भिर् bhakti vinashyati. Okay. So atyahara, first fault is atyahar, eating. Basically atyahar is generally do with eating, but it's more than that. But okay, let's take. Prabhupada says overeating. So how do you control this overeating thing? How do you do that? Okay, fine. I mean to say you have disciplined yourself, but when you are eating at that time, then you might tend to overeat. It happens like that, isn't it?
When you're till half stomach.
If when you are
Eat till half stomach.
Eat till half stomach. How do you know your stomach is half? That's how scripture says. Overeating is defined when you are eating more than half stomach. I mean, a half stomach should be food, and the rest half is 1/4 and 1/4. So half stomach is food, 1/4 is with water, and 1/4 then empty. It is empty to churn.
Yeah.
And that's. But how do you know your stomach is half? You don't do ultrasound each time. Some machine, okay, what's happening there?
If you want to eat one roti, you take half roti.
If you take?
If you want to eat one whole, you take half instead.
If you want one whole, then take half. Yeah, you can do that. Sometimes you keep on eating and you don't realize, and eating.
Take a fixed quantity.
Take a fixed quantity. Okay, fix a quantity for yourself. That can be done. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fixed his quantity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually fixed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, he told people used to invite him in house for feasting. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, okay, I'll take just I think some amount of rice. He said 1 katori of rice, 1 chapati, sabji, that's all. I'll not take more than that. He fixed. So you can fix something. But fixing food is not a good idea, especially because sometimes you're in Rath Yatra, sometimes you are there, sometimes physical action, sometimes no physical actions. You see, then you'll become weak. So what do? How do you know you are overeating? And how do you stop overeating? How do you know your stomach is half full? That's the whole point. What's the practical tip there?
Concentrate on just eating.
Then?
Don't do anything else.
Then what happens?
So
So how do you know your stomach is half full? If you concentrate. How do you know that? Time yourself.
Give yourself a time limit.
How do you know?
When you're eating and your hunger dissipates, when the hunger goes away, then you should stop.
Well, you can feel your
And
hunger
then
is.
sometimes your hunger is gone, but you're still eating.
But sometimes you are hungry, and you're eating, and it's illusion by mind. You don't need, but still you are eating. You see? So what do you do with that? Okay, so there's a tip for that, a practical tip. If you want to control overeating, there's a trick there. What you do is, when you eat, after eating you should have little hunger. Then you have not overeaten. If after eating, if you finish your hunger, it means you have overeaten. Yeah.
So I was on the right track.
Something. So that's how it goes. So some hunger should be there. It should not be, okay, I'm full now, my hunger is good, now then you're overeaten actually. It's not I mean to say, you see, if you feel full, okay, I'm full, that means your stomach is full. Because you're feeling full, am I right? Simple. If your stomach is empty, then you will feel little hunger. 1/4 is empty, no, you keep it for air. So body will feel hunger because he wants to fill that. Stop there. So you will know by eating 2-3 times, okay, after this much eating, or you will know yourself. You will know yourself. When you practice, okay, some hunger is left, stop it. Don't finish hunger. That's how you overcome eating. And that's why you see this intermittent fasting, what you were talking. The people do intermittent fasting, that can be done. You know intermittent fasting, no? There's a concept in America. From evening 6 o'clock, next day 12 o'clock, you don't eat, and then 12 o'clock you take lunch. That's one thing you can do. But that's okay. If it works, it's okay. But Ayurveda recommends that even after eating, if you leave little hunger, you always have hunger with you. So that what hunger is doing, hunger will destroy all your cancerous cells, all your toxins. It is your friend actually. But people don't know how to make friendship with hunger, and they keep on destroying it, and they become unhealthy. That's why. Because that's why poor people don't become sick so easily. You know that? You see India, all these laborers, they don't become sick. Rich people always. Sometimes gas, sometimes this, sometimes that, sometimes this. They're always shouting because they're not hungry. So there's a use. So overeating, okay, that's how you control overeating.
My question: if you said you feel hungry, so how do you know that means that you're half? Because that means it could be also mean that you ate till how much? You only have like 1/3 left. How do you know?
Approximately. It goes like that.
Prabhu, is there a scientific medical base on the hunger and killing the bacterial infection or anything like that?
The last year Nobel Prize was on that.
Yeah. There is scientific connection. Hunger is natural therapy is based on hunger. Fasting, it's hunger.
So many cure disease only by fasting.
Yeah.
So there is a 5-day fasting.
Yeah, there is.
Doctors control it, and when your disease is gone.
Okay, so I don't want to talk about health. I'm least interested in that. Got bored of that. But this is, I'm talking about spiritual thing. You can control overeating by this. So now you will have prasadam after this, so you can practice from now.
Half should be left.
I mean to say, no, you eat and
then one put water.
you eat, and then when you feel that little hunger is left, little more scope to eat, stop there. And then you will have little hunger left there. Don't fill your stomach. Okay, that's Atyahar. Okay. Then comes, what's happening, Mataji? Is something happening there? Offering, oh, okay. We can do afterwards also, no? Yeah, I'll get disturbed now. Sit. This prasadam is a blessing and a curse. I don't know, somehow. It's required and it's nice. Prasadam, it's Krishna's mercy. At the same time, it's very distracting also, and consumes time. You have to cook and then eat.
Eating is part of the time also.
And then shit. That's also the point of time.
Wash the chicken.
It's simply waste of time. That's all. In one sense, it's waste. You can simply use that time for chanting and reading. But you have to do that because we are in human body. You'll die. So the Krishna's mercy, he accepts that food and he says, okay, this is for your living. What to do? So overeating, okay, fine. Atyahar. And then prayas. What's prayas? Prayas is over-endeavoring. That's also fault. How do you overcome this? Over-endeavoring. So you know over-endeavoring, what that means? Over-endeavoring means doing, okay, how do you define over-endeavoring? What's the meaning of that?
Previous things also says collecting too much.
Yeah. That's also there. Atyahar means collecting too much also. Atyahar also means collecting too much. That's also a fault. So many things collecting. And how do you overcome this habit? Spending? Okay.
Give away everything.
Yeah. Give it to people. Distribute it. And then your whole fault of over collecting goes give it to Vaishnavas. That's all. What you get by blessings of God, distribute it to others. And you will see. Krishna gives you to distribute. Doesn't give you to so that you keep. That's not his intention of giving you. But that is human's fault. He gives and we keep. But he's giving us to distribute. He gives us knowledge so that we distribute. Am I right? He gives us strength so that we protect the poor and the weak. He gives us intelligence so that we help people who are not intelligent. He gives us money so that we can help devotees and other to actually use it in service of Krishna. Am I right? He gives so many things. Just as he gives, we should give. That's all. So yeah, this is the point. Collecting too much. You can give. That'll happen. That'll help you. Okay, prayasas, over-endeavoring. So what do you mean by over-endeavoring? That's a fault. What do you mean by over-endeavoring? Prayas means what? Too much effort on something. What do you mean by that? What's too much?
Too much effort on material possessions.
What's too much? That's how do you define too much? How do you define too much? I mean to say, somebody can say, okay, I work for 12 hours, and we say you're putting too much. He says, it's not too much.
Beyond your motor required.
Okay, beyond your? Yeah.
Has to be worse
Yeah.
to get that what.
Yeah, beyond your capacity, beyond your adhikar.
Priority like other things.
Yeah, so over-endeavoring is doing something beyond your adhikar. That is beyond your capacity. I mean, if somebody can do more than you, that's okay for him. And how do you know that you're working beyond your capacity? That's one thing.
Getting frustrated and
Yeah, you get frustrated. Yeah, you get frustrated basically. Frustration will come. Then that means you're doing beyond your capacity. Somebody can work for 12 hours but they don't get frustrated, okay, fine for them. But some people cannot. They're different natures, am I right? So over-endeavoring is working beyond your capacity, and because of that you get frustration and you don't have time for devotion. That's the whole point there. The scriptures limit that actually. Scripture says if you want to work, don't take a job which is more than 8 hours working. 8 or 9 hours. Some people have jobs, like they 14, 15, 12, they keep on working. In Canada was there one devotee, he has 12 hours job daily. So if you can change, that's okay. It's not easy to change jobs. But that's okay. But the whole point is you should have sufficient time for your spiritual life. So how can you overcome this fault of over-endeavoring? What do you do with that? Maybe you are doing more than your capacity. Then even in Krishna consciousness, I think this, who was that? Hamsadut Prabhu. He came to Prabhupada and he was sick. After he actually conducted a big program. He was sick. And he came and Prabhupada said, what happened? He said, Prabhupada, I'm sick. Prabhupada said, prayasascha. Prabhupada said, you are over-endeavoring and you are doing service of Krishna, but you became sick. And then now because of sickness, you will not be able to serve Krishna anymore. You see, वो क्या कहते हैं लंबी रेस का घोड़ा? You know that? हिंदी में सुना है? Like most, I mean to say you can run for 100 meters race, or you can run for a marathon. If you want to run for a marathon, you don't run fast. Slow. That's a wrong run. 100 meter you are. So devotion is a marathon. Whole life you have to do. So that's why prayasascha can be controlled. Over-endeavoring even in Krishna consciousness can be controlled if you are balanced in life.
So Prabhuji, yesterday's thing that you get satisfied, that question, and how can we balance between the two?
Oh, you get satisfied. So you're not satisfied by serving, huh? That's the whole idea.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes we are doing service and we are not satisfied, so we want to do more and we keep on doing, and then we are over-endeavoring.
Yes.
and then when we lose our balance of mind, then after some time we get frustrated. What's happening? Then we become tired and sick, and then everything goes down. Am I right? That happens. So that is, you see, it will come here. 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗃𝗃. That is the way of mind control. So we want to do more, but at the same time we have to look at a longer picture. If we do more now, then later we become sick and we'll not be able to do any more. Am I right?
Yes.
So it's good to do less but continuously, rather than more and discontinuously. That's not a good idea. And that's all mature devotees, they know this. We also understand this. So we balance our life. So we want to do more, but we don't do. We balance it out. Because we know we have to do whole life, we can't just mess it up. That's a difference between a mature devotee and a new devotee. Am I right? That's how it goes. So even Srila Prabhupada, now, how much desire Prabhupada would have to serve Krishna? Tell me.
Conquer the whole world.
Isn't it? But Prabhupada was sleeping. He slept. Why did he sleep? For him, even 1 second of sleep, he might be feeling it's a person who was to conquer the whole, not world, universe. Prabhupada says, I want to preach in whole universe. How much desire he should have. But still he was taking his massage, 2 hours. He was taking sleep. He was taking food. How? Because he knew that I am a marathon runner. I have to keep on going. Otherwise, something happens to me, then whole thing stops. That's why health is also a property of God. Am I right? So you have to take care of it also. This body. And this body is a machine and it works by its own laws. And you have to give it what it wants. That's all. Isn't it?
Computer will overheat like that.
Yeah, computer, yeah. So if you have a lot of desire to serve Krishna and you want to 24 hours work and you're driving and you keep on driving 24 hours, your car will overheat, am I right?
Yeah.
Because it has own laws. Similarly, body, like that. So, over endeavoring. Yeah.
How we say that we have to take risks for the Lord.
Yeah.
Like how over enduring or risk? How do we put that in context?
Oh, risk is different, over endeavoring is different.
Does that?
You can take risk, but at the same time you can take risk. You see movies. You have seen movies. There were villain in movies, Indian movies. Or some villain, they fight, and they're very angry, and they like have knives and they kill. But villains who are like very big villain, big time don, they don't kill when they're angry. They kill very peacefully. They come, okay, bye. You see that? These are very dangerous people. So that's how it goes. So you can take risk, you can do big things peacefully. No problem. That's okay. That can be done. That is Krishna. Krishna is killing demons. It's a big risk, I mean to say. There's so many demons and so many things are going. He is doing peacefully. That needs more than a human. Prabhupada, big risks. He's happy. Okay. No problems. That's how it goes. General human, for a mortal person, for a human, it is when he starts taking big risks, he gets disturbed. Am I right? That's human. That's not divine. That's not spiritual energy. Spiritual energy, when it starts working, you're doing big things but peacefully. That's all. There's a difference there. Otherwise, we are working under material energy. Doesn't happen like that. Okay, prayasascha. That's the point. Okay, prajalp. What about that? Prajalp means idle talking, useless talking. That's a fault. How do you control this? Useless talking. Useless talking means what?
Unnecessary.
Yeah. What's that? Unnecessary what?
Gossip.
What do you mean by gossip?
Anything that's not about Krishna.
Okay, if we're talking about some devotee, what about that?
Criticizing.
Then it is prajalp or not?
He's adding something.
Like mundane talk.
Okay, mundane talk like what? Like we are talking about cricket,
Nonsense.
cricket or Modi, isn't it? Maybe.
But that had nothing to do with Sri Krishna.
Okay, but you know what? Yeah, that may be if it is not concerned with serving Krishna. That's okay. That's okay. That's just fine. But sometimes I mean to say, but suppose I'm talking to you about cricket. India, Pakistan. It happened? When it happened, I think just now.
A baseball match here.
Yeah.
Football match here.
Suppose I'm talking to you, okay, what happened in cricket and did India win or Pakistan win? Is it a prajalp or not? Yes?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Suppose if somebody new person comes, just a new, and I'm asking you, okay, what happened in cricket and what happened in that? Is it prajalp? Why?
Because you're trying to bring.
I'm talking the same thing.
What's the intention? What is the goal?
So that's you have to now define what is prajalp. You have to say what is prajalp.
Definition.
That's the whole definition. That's why I was asking definitions. So things change, no? Suppose if I'm criticizing some devotee, then what? It's a gossip. It's a prajalp. Not necessarily. If you're on a board, if you're on a management board, you might have to talk about some devotees. You have to talk. This devotee is doing like this, devotee is doing like this, how to handle them. That's management. Otherwise, what you're doing. If you're in management mode and you say, okay, we'll not talk about any devotee, then dissolve this management board, it's useless.
You are not doing your service.
Yeah, you're not doing your service. So what's prajalp? That's the whole idea there. If your definition is clear, then you will get stressed. You don't know what you're doing. So prajalp comes from the word jalp. Jalp means what? In Sanskrit there is a word called as jalp. Jalp means talking, jalpa. Now prajalpa, we add pra in that. Pra. Pra means more, always. Prahlad, Ahlad and Prahlad. Ahlad is bliss, Prahlad is extreme bliss. So prajalp is, you're talking unnecessarily. That's what he told. The meaning is, your talk doesn't in any way inspires you to serve Krishna or others to serve Krishna. If that kind of talk is prajalp. So if new person is coming and if you're talking to him about cricket and something, that might be, because he's new, you have to engage in talking, isn't it? Otherwise you can't directly talk about Krishna consciousness to some people. Isn't it? If you sitting in airport, if somebody's sitting with you, you can't talk, hey, worship Krishna. You can't do that. So to initiate talk, you have to talk something. So from where are you, what do you do, and oh, Modi came there, so did you like that? And then you slowly. So that talk is inspiring. Our whole aim is to inspire him to connect to God. So that intention, if that is there, then that's not prajalpa. In management also, we are talking about devotees. We might be talking negative, but at the same time, we are talking that to correct that, and so that everybody can be inspired in Krishna consciousness. That's okay. That's what is not prajalpa. So prajalpa is if you lose the sight what you are doing, then it changes into gossip. If you lose the sight that this talk will inspire me or others, it should be done to inspire me or others to actually serve Krishna, then it's a gossip. It's simply a gossip. That's all. That is prajalpa. You got my point? That's called mundane talking. That's called mundane talking. So if two devotees are sitting and they are talking about some other devotee, that's gossip. Now you might say, Prabhuji, we also saw you talking with that devotee. Well, if we what I say, in management, be ruthless. Forget your humility. No humility here. So, you see, things change.
It's new.
So management meeting, somebody speaks something, and I say, and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "That's not required. I'm sorry. Actually, that's a useless thing to say. I'm sorry." Oh, Prabhuji, if you feel offensive, come on. This is required here to talk. This is a forum to talk. Why do you say you feel offensive? If you say this, then then this shows that you are not even qualified to be. You can't give proper decisions. You can't speak. If you can't speak, you're not required here. If you can't speak, then you can't give good suggestions. Then what are you doing here? Then chant nicely. So you not have a Kshatriya. You see that thing? What's happening? What's happening?
Apparently your voice was muted.
Okay. Oh. Okay, do you understand? So prajalpa is a very tricky thing. You have to really understand what you're doing with the intention. Is there any questions here? Am I right? Are you understanding what you have to do? I mean to say, you might also have got management board here. So in your management board, nobody should feel anything if somebody is speaking anything, because the whole idea is to, actually the whole idea in management is to be a critic. If you're not a critic, then the company goes down. Am I right? In what happens in companies, Prabhu? If they have a management board in company,
Yes.
and what happens? Like they might be very critic people, isn't it? Otherwise, they'll have so big losses, millions of losses. People mind there?
There is a system called whistleblower.
What's that?
So the person keeps himself anonymous, but he goes and points out the faults of the leader.
Acha.
Like it just happened in the case of Donald Trump also.
Acha.
So it happens in companies too.
Acha. So? But whistleblower is there in the outside world because they have egos. In spiritual life, we understand, so you don't have to play whistle, Probably this is like this, and because you're together, and we understand at least, at least you have to understand, it's not an ego issue here. You're talking about Krishna and to maintain things, so okay, But if it is clear from before, I make it clear to devotees who are working with me. See, you can speak anything to me. Don't worry about that. You can speak, you're a trash and this is nonsense idea, and I will not mind. In fact, I will mind if you don't speak. Because otherwise, whole project goes in loss. And this one once happened. We had a meeting and that devotee who was in charge, he didn't say anything to me. And I gave her some decision which was not right. Because I don't know. He didn't tell me. Because of humbleness, and then things went wrong. And then afterwards he told Prabhuji this. I told, how did it go wrong? He told Prabhuji, I didn't tell you because it was offensive. I told, see, to save an offense against me, you did offense against Krishna. That's the whole point. You spoiled the project. And then he understood. I told, see, in meeting, you call me nonsense, you call me useless. I don't mind because I don't have experience of everything. I'm not demigod. I'm not God, A construction thing I don't have. Construction I don't know anything. You have to tell me. So then they tell me everything. They tell me and they really sometimes scold me also. They say, Prabhuji, you did this, you did this, you did this. I told, okay, fine, let's think, I'm wrong. Okay, let's think, where did I go wrong? And tick, and then we make a solution and then go ahead. So that's why things are going forward. Otherwise, if I keep myself closed, then they'll not be able to suggest me. Then who loses? Krishna loses because of me. Because of my superiority, my uselessness, Krishna loses. This is complete crazy. So that's how the practical thing goes. Management, leave your humbleness and compassion, by the way. Everybody should be clear. Leave it around. Like that, be humble. In management, you can criticize. Outside, don't do that. It becomes prachalpa. It becomes crazy.
This was Krishna's advice to Arjuna, right? To be bold and do the right for the greater good. I think is it similar?
Yeah, it's almost similar. Almost, you can say like that. Do you understand? Are you... I mean to say, that point clicks with you or not?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
The only thing is, Prabhu, when some action is taken by management for something, then that becomes a contentious issue where action is taken.
No, but that there is a rule. There's a rule. Okay, I got your point. The team has to understand final decision will be taken by the leader. And whatever leader does, you have to follow. That's why he's a leader. You chose him a leader. If you live because of his decisions. If you die because of his decisions. That's a team. Team player is a very different thing. I didn't know what's team playing. But when we started this project, Varnashram, I totally understood team playing. And I told you see, we are together. If we live together, we die together. And whatever you do wrong, I'll be responsible. Whatever I do wrong, you'll be responsible. If you do right, I'm there. If I do right, you are there. But finally, there's a conflict. This is me. And if I take a wrong decision, you should be happy in that. Am I right? Even in military, this happens. The captain takes a decision and whole battalion can die if he takes a wrong decision. But everybody follows. So that's the point of a leader. Otherwise, why do you choose the leader? What's the point? Then it's in name. So finally, everybody has to understand, okay, every opinions are different, whatever, but whatever leader says, do it. And if the consequences turn out wrong, no problem. Because that's okay. Sometimes things go wrong. Every time it cannot be right. That's all. That's how it goes. Many of times my decision goes wrong, but people with me, they understand. I've explained them. They understand. I told, see, I'm not perfect. I might take wrong decisions. But then you have to go along me. Because if you accept me as a leader, and they do. And they say, no problem, Prabhu. And the job of devotees who are working with the leader, their job is to cover up the faults of the leader. You see, that's a team. Their job is not to expose the leader. Otherwise, you're not a team. And that happens in family, am I right? The job of wife is to cover the faults of husband in front of others. Am I right? Inside the house, they'll be fighting like cats and dogs. But outside, if somebody says, wife will say, how dare you tell this to my husband? Or if somebody tells to his wife, husband will say, how dare you tell to my wife? But the same thing he'll be telling in the home. Because that's a family. Team means you have to cover up things. So I told them, you see in front of congregation, you see we have a congregation. I mean to say with me, there are like 1,000 people connected to me, my congregation. 1,000 devotees are there with me, I'm guiding them. So I told, you see, we are a team. If something you do wrong, I will cover up for you. And something I do wrong, you cover up for me. And then people will they will not be in confusion. And they will be inspired because people are new and people, then they understand and things are going. That's a team player. Otherwise, you're not a team player. You have to understand that team playing. Otherwise, you can't do big things. Big things never happen without team playing. I think all this Modi and Amit Shah, these people are like that. I mean, if Modi is doing something wrong, Amit Shah will cover up. You know Amit Shah, no? And Amit Shah is doing something, Modi will cover up. That's how they do in politics. And that's how they are able to make their images good and people have faith. Otherwise, if Modi starts exposing Amit Shah and Yogi starts exposing Modi, then whole party is gone. That's how party work happens. So that you have to learn. You see the point there? That's how management goes.
Kids and parents is the same thing. Kids and parents is the same thing. Parents always cover.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
So then,
in the house, they are very critical.
So you're team playing in your house, but you're not team playing with devotees. What's this? Because the principles are not, I mean, you have to understand that. This is a very important point, by the way. Actually, I'm writing a book on management. It's almost done. It's finished. I told them these tips so that because I'm traveling all around the world and people are fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Not because they're bad, but because there's no training. Nobody told them this. If you don't hear, if you don't know, then you don't know. Then you don't know how to work. So that's the whole point there. Okay, so that's how it goes. So you see, am I doing prajalpa? No. It seems like mundane things, but this is not prajalpa because this is all to bring peace so that we can all peacefully do Krishna consciousness and we can go along. Am I right? So we all have to understand that. Okay. That's prajalpa. Something about management. It just came now. Okay, Prajalpa. Okay, tell me, what is the cause of Prajalpa? By the way, why do we do that?
Ignorance.
Huh? Okay, the cause. Okay, anything else? Why do we unnecessarily talk about this, that? Why we are talking like we are mad or what?
Association with non-devotee. Ignorance.
Association non-devotees, okay, that's, you get different ideas and then you start talking. That may be one, especially people who are working outside.
Not aware of higher cause.
Insecurity, that might be there. Empty mind is devil's mind. Is there any practical answer? I mean to say, your answers are okay. They're not wrong.
There are many reasons like jealousy.
But one, okay, jealousy, okay, yeah, fine. But you know what, I mean to say, jealousy is an answer, but at the same time not answer, because everybody is jealous. So what happens with everybody, that you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. Is there. It is in a software. So we can't get rid of this. So there has to be some answer on which we can work. Am I right? Answer on which we cannot work, that's not an answer for me. Because that's not practical. Because like we were talking, so some people have their different natures. So we can't change their nature. Am I right? So to always, now suppose if some devotee is like that and you go and counsel him, Prabhuji, you should not do this. But he can't change, that's all. You have to understand, people have their nature. You can't change them. So then if you keep on working, so that's why there's a saying in Bible, that, oh Lord, give me the wisdom to not do something which is impossible. And the courage to fulfill those things which is possible. You see, you should have a wisdom to understand what is impossible, and you don't work on that. If you keep on working on impossible things, you will end up in frustration. You are trying to counsel that devotee, Prabhuji, you should not do this, not do this. Bhaiya, his nature is like that. You can't change. You can't change people in one day, by the way.
Prabhu, nature comes
It
from
can't happen.
previous karmas, past
Yeah, past lives. You can't change people, I've seen. You can't change yourself. How will you change others? Nature is a big thing. People don't change overnight. They take 20, 30 years. You know what? Some devotee, one new devotee was there in congregation, and he came to me. He tell Prabhuji, why don't you tell this devotee should do like this, devotee do like this, devotee, and if you say they will change. I said it is not like that. Even if I say they will not change, even if they want to change, they reflexively they'll act like that. So they're no Prabhuji. So I told him, okay, you tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. I am telling you now. I tell you now. You just remove all lust from your mind. Is it possible? He says, no. It's my order. Do that. You can't do that. Am I right? He can't do that. No, none of us can do that. It takes time. So that's nature. We have some things like this inbuilt in us for millions of lives. How can you get rid of it? So the whole point is, what's that? The whole point is, you don't try to change the people. What I was saying, you try to change the system. System has to be changed. Tweaking, you know tweaking? System has to be tweaked somewhere to actually incorporate everybody. But what generally we do is we try to change the people. We try to keep the system same, and that's a fault. People become frustrated and they leave. So that's what Niti teaches. So anyway, why I'm saying this? Why I was? Okay. So why we do Prachalpa then? I mean to say, okay, so jealousy, we had this topic, jealousy, but then this whole jealousy, you can't go away in one day, it's not impossible. So that answer is there, but that answer is not workable answer. Am I right? There is some answers which are possible, which are impossible. This kind of answer, we can't work on it, so leave it. You can't do anything, handle it. Handle weaker things first. This is a bigger thing. If you fight first, you should fight with strong enemy or weak enemy? Weak enemy. If you fight with a stronger enemy, you will lose your courage initially. But if you fight with weak enemy, you might gather courage and even defeat the strong enemy. That's how it goes. So why do we do prajalpa? What's happening? What's happening with them? What are you doing? You have become crazy or what? They have become cranky. They should sleep. Cranky, cranky. Yeah. You just keep quiet for some time. You have to control your mind. Just sit. Okay, if you want to play, go out and play, no problem. We don't have a issue with that, but that's okay. Yeah, that's out of etiquette, by the way. Sorry for that. Yeah, Americans are into etiquettes, isn't it? India is no problem if they are in India. I'm not told anything. Okay, so why do we do prajalpa? What's the main cause?
Do we derive satisfaction and happiness out of it?
Okay, satisfaction and happiness out of it. Yeah, that's one thing, we are addicted to it.
Killing time.
Okay, there's one practical thing. Why do we do prajalpa? You know why? Because of assumptions. You see, we assume something in our mind and then we keep on talking. 90% of our prajalpa is out of assumption. We have no clear picture and we keep on talking as if you know everything about that situation and you are the commentator on that situation. Tika, you write tikas on that without doing anything. That's a big problem, by the way, assumption. Don't assume things. Until unless you're not clear about that subject, don't talk. If you're 100% sure, then talk. Okay, that devotee is doing like this. But don't talk if you're not 100%. Oh, Prabhuji, actually I don't know exactly, but that devotee is doing like this. If you don't know why you're talking, if you know, then talk. Otherwise, you are in confusion, you put me in confusion, you put others in confusion, and then everything is a mess. Assumption is a big problem. So, if you get rid of this assumption, you get rid of prajalpa. That's one practical solution for not doing prajalpa. You got the point now, answer? Don't.
But many times people think they know it.
And that's what. But then they think they know it. That's the assumption is built in the statement. They think that if you don't have evidences, thinking doesn't work in court of law. Am I right? You should have evidence. This. I have evidence. Okay, let's talk. Otherwise, forget it. That's all. Finish. Who wants to talk that? So that's basically prajalpa. That's prajalpa. Okay, that's one thing. Niyamagraha. So how do you get rid of niyamagraha? Niyamagraha means what? You are becoming attached to rules and regulations or neglecting them. Becoming too attached to rules and regulations. What does that mean? That means you are doing Mangalarti, chanting, offering, and then what happens? When you become too attached to rules and regulations and not attached to Krishna, then what happens? So how do you know that you are becoming too attached to rules and regulations? How do you know that?
Don't have that affection.
Practical. It's all subjective. Forget this affection. How do you know that you have becoming too attached to rules and regulations? I told you yesterday.
We are focusing only on rules and regulations, not on...
But you have to focus. I also focus. Then what do you do?
We should be able to get rid of that too sometimes.
What get rid of rules and regulations? Come on.
Sometimes you should be able to.
No, but when and what, how, what? That's it.
It becomes spontaneous.
Something about Krishna to follow your rules and
I told yesterday. I told you. Sangha Siddha, what I told. If you are too attached to rules and regulations, Sangha, if you are taking Sangha not with Krishna but with rules, you will become satisfied after following rules. Okay, my chanting is finished. After offering, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padaya, ding, 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 ding. Okay, offering is done. Okay, good. Because I followed rule. And that's what ritualistic people are. So that is niyamagraha. So if you too much attached to become rules and regulations, then what happens is you lose the sight of what's that? Kriti sadhe bhavet sadhe bhava, of emotions for Krishna. And then you offer ding 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 ding. Because I chanted 3 mantras, Namam Vishnu Padaya, Namo Madanyaya, Hare Krishna, and kept the plate, so Krishna has to accept. Because I followed rule. You are attached to rule and you are not attached to Krishna. You don't understand Krishna is free not to accept it. Even if you follow all rules, go to hell. Krishna can say that, am I right? You are lost. Because you don't have emotions. So what happens then? So that's what happens is, if you attach to rules and regulations, you will be satisfied after doing something, some ritualistic rules, and then there will be a whole problem. That's why I told, devotee has both satisfaction and even after offering, we have some kind of lacuna. Krishna, please accept it. I don't know, we have just chanted some mantras, but how do we know he has accepted? So devotee prays in his heart, please Krishna accept it. You are independent to do anything. So his focus is on emotions and not just rules. That's what is niyamagraha. That's how we know. Too much attachment to rules and regulations. So what do you do to get rid of this fault? Simple. If you want to get rid of this fault of attachment to rules and regulations, what do? You have to always keep sight on the emotions. Remember that Krishna is independent to do anything. What's the time?
It's 12:37.
Oh my God. I plan to finish Nectar of Instruction, but every time it happens. Why does it happen like that? Anyway, you're understanding things. No, that's more important. We do less, but you have to understand and practice. So if you have to get rid of this habit of niyamagraha, becoming attached to rules and regulations, what you should do is, you should always remember Krishna is independent. He is not under your rules. And then you will pray and then you will have emotions. Otherwise, you will be just in rituals. Okay. Then what is another fault? Janasanga. Janasanga means association with worldly minded people. Janasanga. You are taking association with worldly minded people. That you have to do anyway. In jobs, you are there with worldly people. So what do you do to get rid of this fault?
Can we consider Janasanga here as a popularity also?
No.
Before that, don't take association, give association.
Yeah, so taking association means taking their ideas. So you might be doing job for 8-9 hours outside and meeting people, but if you don't accept the ideas, you are not doing association. So to get rid of this fault, you have to understand, don't take ideas of anybody except Krishna. Our vow is, whatever Krishna says, I'll do. Whatever Krishna doesn't say, I'll not do. Even if whole world speaks, then go do whatever they want to do. Even if it is scientifically proved. That's one thing. They can give you scientific proof of something. Who cares for that? Krishna doesn't say that. That's all. We go by Krishna. So then you will overcome this fault of Janasanga. Otherwise, their whole ideas will come in your mind. And so the whole idea is, if you want to overcome this fault of Janasanga, whatever you hear, you match with Gita. Do matching. You know this matching? Arey matching hoti hai na. So whatever idea you get from anywhere, you see, if it is in Gita, accept. If it is not in Gita, reject it. Just reject it. But for that you should know Gita, first of all. You should have read Gita, otherwise that's a pre-assumption there. If you have not read scriptures, you will fall into this trap of Janasanga. Somebody will tell you something, then you have idea and you don't know how to match it with what. And I do always that. Okay, if there's a situation, what does Krishna say in this situation? So this is this is a question. If you face any situation, you raise a question in mind. If Krishna came here, what he would do? And what he does, that you do. But of course, for that you have to know what he will do. Otherwise, if you say, if there's a movie and Krishna comes here, what he'll do? He will see movies. Okay, fine. We will also start seeing movie. Now that's not the whole point there. For that you should know Gita on your tips. Otherwise you can't make that decision. You will not be able to do that. So to prevent Jana Sangha, you have to take knowledge. That's the whole idea there. If you don't have knowledge, you will not be able to get rid of Jana Sangha. You will get foolish ideas. You'll get affected by that. That's how it goes. And the last is lolyam. Lolyam means greed. How do you get rid of greed? Greed means what? By the way, greed means what? Anybody knows? What is greed?
Endeavor, over endeavor.
Wow. Greed is what?
Trying to possess something more than what you deserve.
Okay. Trying to keep something more than you need. Need and greed, am I right? More than what you need, you keep. Then that's greed. That's not a good idea. So how to get rid of greed? What to do?
Jealousy. Jealousy is the root for greed.
No, how to get rid of greed? Okay, what's the solution? Jealousy? Okay, you can say, okay, fine, in that way. How to get rid of greed? More than a need, we are taking things. What do you do with that thing? There is a theoretical answer for that. Krishna says, satisfaction. You're satisfied? So the only way to counteract greed is to be satisfied in Krishna consciousness, in chanting holy names. If you feel satisfaction in chanting holy names and speaking about Krishna, then your greed will go. But that is a very theoretical answer. What is the practical answer? How to get rid of greed? Tell me. Yeah, take more than needs, huh?
Limiting the needs.
Okay. That's one thing. To control greed, there is just one way. You know this movement, minimalist. You know this? In America? So yeah, in that sense, if we try to become a kind of minimalist, use minimal things from the material world. Whatever is required. Minimal. Huh?
Use them for Krishna.
Yeah, use them for Krishna. Yeah, for personal self, it should be minimal. For personal, use minimal as possible. Don't be in a debt. If you use material things more than required, you go in a debt against Mother Nature. Already you are all in mortgage in America. And that you take another debt from Mother Nature. So for personal living and personal, you should use minimal things, whatever is. Then your greed will get. The whole concept should be clear of taking debt. That's why Prabhupada says rin. ऋण यू नो ऋण नो या प्रकृति का ऋण भी होता है तो इसलिए जितने भी ऑल द साधुस दे यूज्ड टू लिव ऑन मिनिमल as a householder whatever is minimal you do use personally, otherwise put it in service of Krishna. That's all, finish. Yeah,
Prabhuji, is greed coming mainly because of insecurity or?
Acha, okay. So what's the root of greed? That's what you are asking. Yeah, Prabhupada says because man feels insecure. Animal doesn't feel insecure, so it's not greedy. Man feels insecure of future, so he says keep it, and then later we'll use it. And that's one of the big reasons of greed. So if
we take it back further, insecurity, not trusting Krishna fully is also.
Yeah. It is born of that only. It's born of that. That's why I told satisfaction is one of the. But that's very theoretical answer, isn't it? If you're satisfied, but practical is live on minimal, personally. Then you will be happy and not greedy. Okay, like that. So that is you've overcome these 6 faults, and later I'll talk. Someday I'll talk about at least this much to practice now. You have to practice. There's so many things to practice. You have to remember and practice. Maybe you write in a copy, read daily what I have told. These things are what I've given you solutions, but you have to put it in your life. Otherwise, they don't come easily. You have to practice them. But once you practiced, it comes, you're there. Okay.